What's up, B Squad? It's your boy JB, and I'm here today, you guys, with a brand new review for The Real Housewives of Miami, you guys. This is season 7. This is episode number 2. The episode was titled Miami Takes Milan. So before we go ahead and get into it, if you guys are watching this video or any other video on the channel and you guys aren't subscribed yet, I need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning on your post notifications, and sharing the video, you guys. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let us go ahead and discuss The Real Housewives of Miami, shall we? All right, you guys. So this episode, it was a good episode. Now, I will say I just watched this episode about just before I came on here. I had just finished up the episode. So if I had to rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10, no, I'm not even gonna do that. It was a solid episode for me personally. For me, I thought it was a solid episode. Let me know what you guys thought about it. So this is going to be a pre-recorded video, so there will be no live from me today. I still need to talk to the group to see who's hosting the Whether You Like It or Not panel this week, because I don't know if it's me or if it's Ya. But either way I go, we will, y'all know the panel will go live 7:30, 8 o'clock-ish, 7:30, 8-ish, somewhere around that timeline. So yeah, Real Housewives of Miami. So the episode opened, and we open the episode, we see as Alexia, but Adriana, Gertie, and Lisa, they were having dinner with each other, right? And they first talked about this whole Alexia and Todd situation, and they were questioning things. And if you guys watched the panel last week, you heard, especially Leah, talking about, she thinks that Todd's money is funny. And the more that I sit and think about it, I agree. I do believe that there's something off with Todd. And the fact that Alexia is still wanting to stay married to this man after he surprised you with the divorce papers and he moved out and left your son there by himself. It would be a no for me when it comes to Todd, but unfortunately, for some odd reason, Alexia loves it. So then Adriana was talking about her boyfriend and all that kind of stuff. You guys remember in last week's episode, we saw as Adriana was tonguing that man down. Should have got a damn room. She's learning French. I know she was, she's talking about her face. And I'm like, girl, I hope you're not talking about, it was the innuendo, right? So then Lisa let them know that she's going to be going to Milan to walk in a fashion show, right? But at the same time, Larsa is going to be going to Milan as well for the same fashion show because her son Preston is walking in the fashion show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold off on Lisa and Larsa until the end of the review. So we'll pause here, you guys, and then we'll move forward. All right, you guys. So let's talk about Julia real quick. Now, I will say that Julia did come out this week with a statement about her relationship with Gertie, and we'll read it. I still think it's BS what she's saying. Like, I'm not buying shit that Julia is saying when it comes to this whole her and Gertie situation. Now, let's read it. So it says, "My beautiful souls, this season you've seen a different side of me, one even I've struggled to fully explain. The truth is, just before we began filming, something life-changing happened. I was given a chance to welcome 2 incredible boys into my life. It was sudden, emotional, and felt deeply destined. But here's the part no one saw. The adoptions weren't finalized. Not yet. I was living in an emotional in-between, loving these boys fiercely while navigating legal uncertainty and keeping so much of it quiet. It was overwhelming, beautiful, yes, but also fragile. Fragile, scared, and stressful beyond words. Which is why I was so cautious about sharing anything about them in writing." So when moments came up, like sending that strange message you all saw, I didn't always show up as my most present and thoughtful self. And when it came to Gertie, the truth is, at the time, we weren't in the close, heart connected place we had once been. Our friendship had shifted a bit, not in anger, not in conflict, just life, pulling us in different directions. So when she reached out, I was so wrapped up in protecting my own emotional chaos, I fumbled. I never meant to come off cold, careless, or bizarre. I was simply in a storm of my own. This has been a season of growth, messiness, and deep transformation. Thank you for giving me the space to walk through it imperfectly, but with a full and open heart. With love always, Julia. Y'all can tell me what y'all think and feel about that whole statement from Julia. I don't care, to be quite honest with you. I really truly don't. But again, y'all feel free to tell me what you think about it. Do you buy what Julia is selling? I want y'all to tell me the truth. I really want y'all to tell me the truth when it comes to the whole Julia thing, right? So we see Julia and Alexia, and they're doing Pilates with each other. And I'm like, this is so interesting to me to see Julia in this space with Alexia when for the last few seasons, we know that since this reboot happened, it's always been not Alexia, Adriana and Julia. And so I was like, okay, so this is part of I can see why Adriana would feel away, because it does feel like you are throwing away your friendship with Adriana because you are now cool with Alexia and the drunk. Those are my personal opinions. You guys can tell me what you think and what you guys feel. But we'll move on from there, right? So Alexia talked about the whole thing that happened at the party with Lisa and Larsa, right? Alexia feels that there's fault with both Lisa and Larsa. I disagree. The fault was mostly with Larsa, not with Lisa. You're in her home. You came into her house and didn't speak to her. You came into her house and called her a bitch. You're lucky that woman didn't whip your ass until you get the fuck out of her home. But that's neither here nor there, right? So then they talked about Gertie and Julia, right? So Julia says that her hands were tied at that time because I guess she said she had both of the boys, right? But then she also says that, Gertie just hit her with a congrats text. Well, she didn't know what she was saying congratulations to, so it was a blanketed congrats. So then she talked about this cruise that her and Martina were supposed to initially go on, but Martina had a health scare, so Martina didn't go. And then she says that Gertie went with her, right? But she says that Gertie made it all about herself. She made it about PR. She made it about, she made it about herself and paparazzi, PR, all that kind of stuff, right? Then she mentioned a dinner that they had where Gertie wasn't sitting with Julia. And so Gertie felt the way about that. And what I will say is I would feel a way about that too. This is somewhere that you invited me to. And we get here, we're having dinner, and I'm not seated with you. I'm sitting somewhere else away from you and by myself. Yeah, I'm with Gertie. I would absolutely feel a way about that. And I would vocalize it to you, right? So I still don't get where Julia is coming from, right? So then after that, Alexia, they're talking about Alexia and Todd once again, right? So Alexia and Todd have 30 days to decide what to do with this divorce, right? Because when he filed for the divorce, he didn't do anything after the fact. He just literally filed for the divorce. So Alexia's whole thing is she hopes that Todd doesn't go through with the divorce. I was like, why? Why do you want to be tied to this man who literally has no respect for you? But we'll talk about her a little bit later because I think Alexia is, desperate for whatever. I don't know what she's desperate for, but she's desperate for something. Desperate as hell. And I just don't get it. Alexia is a good looking woman. She's a good looking woman, and I just don't know why you're subjecting yourself to the likes of this bullshit with Todd. Like, I feel like you can do so much better than Todd, but we'll talk about it once we get to it. But let's pause here and move on to the next person, you guys, shall we? Next up, you guys, let's talk about Gertie. So it really isn't like a whole lot to discuss when it comes to Gertie. So we know Gertie is, having, surgeries done, right? She's having fat taken from, her stomach, put into her boobs. So she's getting reconstructive surgery on her breast, right? And at this particular moment, Gertie isn't happy with how her breasts look, right? And understandably so. She's been through chemo, she's been through radiation. And so I can't even begin to fathom what that feels like, I'm a man, so I don't know I don't know what it would feel like to go through, cancer, breast cancer, and then, because, some women are tied to some women are tied to their breasts, right? That makes them feel, desirable, sexy. I don't, so I can't imagine what she's feeling. So she's talking to her doctor, her surgeon about it, right? And so her surgeon is talking about doing one more procedure, and he said it's not going to be perfect, but they can get to, I guess, her desired results for what she is looking for when it comes to her reconstructive surgery with her breast. And Russell doesn't want Gertie to keep going through this, right? And here's the thing, I get both sides, right? I get Gertie and how, Gertie wants to feel good about herself, wants to, feel like she did not post, before, her cancer journey, right? So I get that. And I also get Russell looking at his wife and not wanting his wife to have to go through these surgeries, because any surgery, it has complications, it has risk, right? So I get where Russell's coming from, and I get where Gertie's coming from. I wish nothing but the best for Gertie and for Russell. The only downside of what I'm finna say is it ain't got nothing to do with her surgery. It's this confessional look for Gertie. This confessional look with Gertie, I absolutely hate it. It's that top. I don't know what that top is, but the top is god awful and ugly as sin. That top is ugly. Who approved that and why? The hair, I don't have a problem with Gertie's hair. What I do have, like I said, what I do have a problem with is that god awful, and when I say god awful, I mean god awful top. That's it. That's all with Gertie. So let's go ahead and move on to the next person, you guys, shall we? All right, you guys, so next up is Alexia. So you guys remember Alexia's friend, Johnny, who was the one that let Alexia know that Herman was gay? Well, he moved, right? He moved to Madrid, but he's in Miami, and he's hanging out with the girls. So we see Alexia, the drunk, Kiki, and Julia. To me, it's just so wild seeing Julia hang out with these girls, because they weren't clamoring to hang out with you the last, 3 seasons at this point? Because season 4, season 5, and season 6, they weren't really just clamoring, especially Alexia. Alexia nor the drunk were just clamoring to hang out with Julia. But now you in the inner circle with the girls, and it don't sit right with me. Let me say that. It doesn't sit right with me, because especially with your friend Adriana. But okay, whatever. Julia's hanging out with them, right? I thought it was interesting that Alexia asked those men at the table, because she invited some of Johnny's friends, and she asked them, were they circumcised? I was like, wow. I mean, this is an interesting conversation, but okay, whatever. They didn't answer the question, and I'm glad they didn't. So then Alexia is once again talking about this situation with her and Todd, right? The fact that Todd filed for divorce, but it's been 5 months and Todd hasn't really moved an inch since filing for the divorce. So the courts are basically telling him either shit or get off the pot, right? But Alexia still has high hopes for this. And I'm like, why do you have high hopes? Once again, this man moved out of your marital home with, you, this man filed for divorce from you in secret. So I don't really understand why you want to fight for this when it doesn't seem like he wants to fight for this. So I wouldn't even leave the ball in his court. I would go to the courts and petition to, like, let's proceed with this divorce. Let's get it done. Since he filed for the divorce and he wants a divorce from me, let him have what he wants, right? Let him have what he wants. Like I said, they're currently divorced, but then she's still with him. And the thing that confused me was, so then she starts spouting out that Todd at first he liked the show, but then he got to the point where he didn't like the show because he didn't like how he was seen on, how, he saw himself on TV, and he didn't like how people perceived him from what was seen on television, right? And I was like, that's interesting because season 4, most people were on Todd's side when it came to the whole Peter thing, right? The only time people didn't see it for Todd was season 5 with the whole Dr. Nicole and Anthony thing. That was it. But you two started that. Like, that was on you and him. Mostly it was on him because you didn't have to get him, he didn't have to get involved with it. It was between you and Dr. Nicole, and it was all because of the fact that Dr. Nicole took her black card out and slapped that bitch on the table. That was the issue. But then Todd got involved. So Todd only got himself to blame. So I'm so confused. I'm entirely confused, right? So then Alexia completely lost me. And the reason why she lost me is because of where she is present day. Because because at one point she got to the point where she was like saying, fuck Todd, fuck Todd, fuck Todd, fuck Todd. Because of what he did to Frankie and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, you're saying fuck him at this particular moment, but I'm pretty sure you were still boinking on him at that time. And even present day, even though y'all are divorced. Like, I don't know what it is with Alexia and Todd. I don't care what it is with Alexia and Todd. I actually know that Alexia was on Watch What Happens Live last night. I did see a clip of her on Watch What Happens Live. I guess trying to say his money ain't funny. Well, if his money ain't funny, then there's something there. Something in them buttermilk ain't clean. But that's it with Alexia. I want you guys to tell me what you think and feel, and we'll go ahead and move forward, you guys. All right, you guys. So now we're going to talk about Lisa and Larsa. So I'll start with Lisa first, and I'll end with Larsa. So Lisa, remember, she's going to Milan. And we see Lisa getting ready to go to Milan. It said 2 hours to departure. I said, whoa, why? I don't understand people who play it, who wait till the last minute to get to the airport. That is one thing that I cannot do. I cannot do that. No, 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 no. I have to be at the airport at least 2 hours to an hour before my fucking plane leaves. I cannot get there. Like, I don't know how people get there 30 minutes till. Like, I don't know how people do that stuff because that causes me anxiety. Like, when I went to Atlanta back in February, I got to the airport 2 hours before my plane even left, right? And then I got to the TSA check-in line. That line was long as shit. And I was still nervous, and I'm still there. And mind you, I'm there. At that point when I got in the TSA checkout line, I had an hour and 45 minutes left, right? And I was nervous as hell. I was like, oh shit, am I gonna make it? Because it was Super Bowl Sunday too, right? I was like, oh shit, am I gonna make my plane? Because I remember getting in that line and I was just nervous as hell. I'm not gonna make it home on time. I'm not gonna make it home on time. Because the line was wrapped. That line was wrapped. But I ended up getting through and even had enough time to go to a Buffalo Wild Wings and eat some food, right? Even when I went to Miami last summer for my birthday. Now, getting to Miami, bitch, I was nervous. And again, left 2 hours early, but I got to the airport. I had an hour until my flight left. And I was still nervous. And that line to check in, it wasn't long, but it was a good lengthy line. And I was like, oh God, am I gonna make it? Am I gonna make it to Miami? Now coming back home from Miami, I left way, because my flight left at what? I think my flight left at 9 o'clock that morning, and I left my hotel at 6 in the morning. So I had plenty of time to get there. That I was cool. I wasn't tripping on the way back home. Even with now DC last year is a different story. Because I got to the airport in Dallas on time, and I made it to DC on time. Made it to DC. Well, made it to from Dallas to Atlanta to DC on time. Even when I came back from DC, got to the airport, had enough time to get to the airport, but that flight was delayed. Oh God, that flight was delayed. I was delayed hours. Neither here nor there. But Lisa, girl, I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you did it, right? So, awesome, you guys. So, my maintenance is supposed to come out today because I have a wasp nest in my patio door. I've had it for a couple of weeks now, and they still ain't been out. And they still ain't been out today, and it's already afternoon. So, I'm gonna have to go down to this office and ask them, when the fuck are y'all sending somebody out to get rid of this wasp nest? Like, I am allergic to wasp sting. Neither here nor there. Now we see as Lisa and Larsa made it to Milan, they were both on the same flight and they didn't speak to each other. They were both also in the same car with each other, right? So they both were talking to each other about how hurt each other was. The problem that I have with Larsa is I'm fine with her telling Lisa how she feels, but Larsa doesn't listen to anybody when they telling her how they feel. It's all about how Larsa feels. Larsa this, Larsa that. Larsa, both, like I said, Larsa and Lisa are both selfish and self-centered, but Larsa takes the cake, right? Because Lisa was even talking about how her dad is sick. Again, I would have slapped the shit out of, I would have slapped them bubble lips and deflated them motherfuckers, because when that girl said, well, if your dad only has a week left, then why are you here? Bitch, what? I would have slapped that bitch. I would have slapped the shit out that hoe. I promise you I would have popped her in her fucking mouth. I would have popped her in her fucking mouth. But even still, when they were talking, Larsa would not let Jody or Lisa get a word in edgewise. I was like, if you don't shut the fuck up, shut up. But let's pause here and wrap up the episode, you guys. Now, Larsa. So Larsa was asked to be in this fashion show, but she suggested her son Preston to be in the fashion show, right? So we see as they got to the fitting, he started doing his walk. I was like, okay, cool. The one thing that I did not like about Larsa in this episode, which pissed me off, was her and her little gay friend over there. When he was like, oh, what number? Because he asked Jody, what number is Lisa? He's like, she's 50 something. And then he asked Larsa, was he the first or was he the second? He was like, oh, well, he basically opened the show. Shut up. Then Larsa got her phone. When Lisa came out, Larsa got her phone, had that big ass light shining on her. I was like, ma'am, you're taken away from this fashion show because people are probably distracted by this loud ass motherfucking light you got shining on you. So Lisa and Larsa, at the end of it, they did have a conversation with each other. Not Lisa, but Larsa says they feel like that she feels that they should talk when they get back home, which I agree with that, right? And then I was looking at that, I was looking the whole time. I was like, is this Fab? And it was Fab. So Fab came over to ask them, like, what's the Housewives tea, right? So they told him what's going on between them. He took both Lisa and Larsa's side. And that's how I kind of feel. But you guys, let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comments below. You guys, subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notifications, you guys, and also share the video. And until the next time, stay safe, you guys. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. Be blessed. And I'll see you guys in the next one. And also with the panel, I'm thinking it's supposed to be on Ya's channel this week, but if it's not supposed to be on his channel, then it'll be on my channel. But like I said, I'm gonna clear it up with the group in a little bit, and I'll catch you guys for the panel later tonight. But until then, you guys, stay safe, take care of yourselves, wash your hands, be blessed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.